current Executive Director for Regions and Center Operations at the Federal Aviation Administration. Mr. Chaudhary was an Air Force C-17 pilot, having completed 21 years active duty during his service. President Barack Obama appointed him as a member of the President's Advisory Commission on Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders. Please come forward, sir.
Well, good morning. How's everybody doing today? Happy Diwali. Thank you, Shivam. That was a wonderful intro. It's amazing to see how this program, this wonderful event, has grown over the years. Ladies and gentlemen, to all of our distinguished guests, Mr. Ramni, Mr. Iyer, importantly to the proud men and women of the United States military who have traveled from so far to be a part of this event. Chaplain Breton, Chaplain Williams, Hitul, Dr. Bhatt, Mr. Arya, the Kalapundamam dance group, thank you for doing such a wonderful set of performances as always. And all the planning team, thank you for your tireless work in making what has now become an institution, now in its 4th year at the Pentagon. But this year is extra special, and I'll tell you why. It was a little over 25 years ago that I walked through the doors of the Air Force Academy Cadet Chapel and lit a Diwali light in a small room where our chaplain had dusted off a small prayer area for me. And when it was time to ask if I could go home to be with my family for Diwali, I couldn't help but feel a little bit alone and wondered, was it okay to ask? And now, I look upon all of you today and feel the warmth of my fellow service members and veterans all around me. Hindus, Sikhs, Jains, Christians, Muslims, Jewish, Buddhist, atheist, all together, I don't feel so lonely. In fact, I can't think of any other answer to that question than with a resounding yes. And now I can reflect on the meaning of Diwali and the victory of light over darkness with my family, my brothers and sisters in service, and remind myself that freedom is the light that we seek. Freedom to be our authentic selves, freedom from scrutiny, freedom from harm, and freedom to put our best selves forward each and every day. Yes, today is extra special, and one that I would have never dreamed of, not in a million years. Because today, Diwali isn't just a Pentagon event, or a Pentagon Diwali. For the first time, it's truly a Department of Defense Diwali, because commanders from all over our nation have sent their soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines to be here to light the diya with us. Some of them connected with me as far away as Okinawa, where Mr. Buj Gidwani and a small group started the very first Hindu gatherings in DOD many years ago. Never in my wildest dreams back then, back at the Air Force Academy Chapel, would have thought that a day like this would be possible. We're even live streaming around the world. These things make our president so very proud of the work going on here at the Pentagon. In fact, it wasn't just our commander-in-chief. It was Lieutenant Colonel Select Raj Agarwal's commander, Major General Cotton, that sent both he and his lovely wife, Wendy, from Colorado. Marine Corporal Mahavir Kallarai's commander sent him all the way from California, where he serves in helicopter maintenance and just returned from a deployment. And Captain Kohler, skipper of the carrier USS Eisenhower sent AO3 Gina Carr and her family here to be with us today. Gina and her family come to us having recently lost her father, having donned her Class A's for the first time since the funeral service. Therefore, we light today's diya in her father's honor. Welcome, Gina. Welcome, Mom, and the rest of your family. Please stand. That's the strength, the spiritual power that comes with all of us coming together and light the Diwali diya. And it's times like these that remind me that the forces of darkness are almost always seem unyielding as we read the headlines from day to day. And we often fall prey to the debates on the never-ending barrage of isms that are thrown at us on a daily basis. But there's only one ism that's truly part of the American mosaic. Only one that makes us American. Only one ism that binds our communities together. And that's our sense of optimism. In the end, we must remember that it's the small things that often turn the tide. And communities that share with one another learn to care for one another. Bringing some sweets in to work, patting a young student on the back, the simple act of listening, making your daughter get up at 9 a.m. so that she can come to the Pentagon and do a great job with her dance. Even when it seems like the divisions between us are too great, that American sense of optimism that is in each and every one of us ought to take over. And just the act of lighting the diya with so many of our young service members fills me with so much hope and optimism for our nation. You truly are our nation's best, and I'm honored to be with you on this Diwali. You know, in times of war, what is often unheard of and often unsung is the fact that the fiber of American liberty is woven into the diverse communities represented in our armed forces. You see, America's next generation, next greatest generation, fills me with pride, hope, and a sense of optimism. For it is in their capacity to bridge cultural gaps that will eventually empower our nation to pass through our challenges, accelerate progress, and build more resilient communities across America. Even as we mourn the tragic loss of so many, we must be strong and remind ourselves that there can be no greater dagger into the heart of extremist ideology than to have the extremists see all the world's cultures visibly marching in one formation. Black, white, brown, turbans, LGBT, men, women, yarmulkes, tribal tattoos, and the like, all standing in the ranks together, united against intolerance and hate. The very thought arms us with a sense of unity and purpose in the face of so much bigotry. Kinetic operations can and will continue in the fight against extremist ideology. However, the men and women in this room offer something far more powerful. Together, you offer the visual power of our collective cultures in the ranks, bringing their authentic selves to the table and united against hate. The resulting optic presents a veritable pinprick through the heart of bigotry and hate, and is a precision weapon that is hard to circumvent. American exemplarism, the notion that our actions must reflect the ideals we wish others to emulate, must become the standard in our strategy against violent extremism. And you are the generation that will deliver. It was Gandhi who reminded us that we can have all the guided missiles and precision weapons in the world, but we can ill afford to have misguided leadership. We must start with ourselves and become exemplars in the principles of tolerance and inclusion. Most importantly, we must back it up with action. Ultimately, the turbans, tunics, tribal tattoos that we once called a threat to good order and discipline will once again arm our democracy with the power of our tolerance and our sense of unity. And I take my words from Tolkien when I say that the turbans, tunics, and tattoos are not the foe. They are the foe hammer and our sword in the pursuit of justice and freedom. And having lit the diya together, we will lift our nation from darkness to light with our unity, conviction, and love. So I'll leave you today with one final thought. Our founders once believed that these ideas were formidable enough to topple the forces of tyranny and serve as the guiding diya for our nation to freedom. We should too. On behalf of our president, thank you for all you do. Happy Veterans Day, happy Diwali, and may God continue to bless the men and women who serve our great nation. Thank you.